Oh, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the greatest combat sports and culture show, the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, SERG VICENTE, and this is episode 334 of the show. We have so much boxing to talk about today. There are some MMA to talk about. I'll talk about that on another show. We'll maybe discuss that a little later on. But with that being said, we are talking about boxing. And with boxing, you know, I'm bringing on the guru, B Cam. Brother, welcome to the show.
My guy, you know, I'm always happy to join you here when it's boxing to talk about. Sometimes I'm happy to join you when it's MMA, but today we're talking about boxing. I'm happy to be here. My guy, not only boxing, it's a lot going on like at this very moment. Suns looking like they might close out the Pelicans. The Sixers just closed out the Raptors. The Giants are drafting well in the first round. Hollywood Brown got traded to the Cardinals. A lot going on in this very moment, but this is sacred time for us to discuss the holy grail, the sweet science, boxing.
Oh, and boxing has been hard on us, man. It's almost been Shakespearean. I feel like it's felt like tragedy for so long, but sometimes it gives you such beauty, and we are in a point in time. It is our cup runneth over. It is so much fantastic boxing going on right now. So you know what? Fuck it. On today's menu, what we're gonna go ahead and break down today, we're gonna talk about the one, the only, the legendary Tyson Fury, his huge win this weekend. Is he going to be done? We're also going to go ahead and break down two amazing fights. This weekend is just hot fire when it comes to boxing. We have Stevenson versus Valdez, as well as the biggest women's boxing fight of all time, and that is Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. That is going to come off this weekend as well. B, Guru, thank you for joining me once again, man. And everybody who's watching live right now on YouTube, thank you so much for watching live on YouTube. Remember, you can watch the Fight Podcast and listen to the Fight Podcast everywhere podcasting is available. Apple, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. All right. Let that keep on rocking. Check us out at thefightpodcast.com. Listen, like, subscribe, and share. And share all of the fantastic other shows and other things we are doing right now. The Royal Rundown that you can see right here on this channel, as well as the Scrap News as well. So we talk a little bit of pro wrestling and some other shit too, man. So look out for that and more. All right, Brandon. Bruh, this weekend, bright and early in the morning, if you're here on the West Coast like me, you're over there. It's a little later on in the day. Fantastic fight called Wembley. What was that? What was that? Go ahead.
How do you like that?
I fucking adore it. Waking up in the morning, fucking having a cup of coffee and some eggs with my boxing. Come on, man. It doesn't get any better than that.
I don't know, and I've said this before, like the idea of things like football at 10 a.m. seem weird to me, but people that move from the East Coast to the West Coast tend to love it, especially from a sports aspect. Like, I can imagine getting that stuff done and still having a whole night ahead of you. Like you could watch a closeout game and take your girl on a date. She don't even got to be mad at you for not paying attention to her.
And that's why people on the West Coast are happier. That's absolutely what it is. Guys, we can get shit done and go on dates afterwards, so the women are mad.
Wow.
See? You got to move out west. There it is, man. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of dudes moving out west, just in droves. Like, fuck it, we out.
I'm leading the pack. We're gonna drive across the nation, one you all.
But no, I love it, man. And I even like I said, NBA games are done, bro. It's like 7, 8 o'clock. I'm like, cool, man. What else am I gonna watch now? Like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's so much time to fill up. Y'all probably like reading books and stuff.
I have been taking fucking walks, bro.
Yeah,
fucking connecting with nature.
It's 10 p.m. here in DC. I don't need to be taking no walks this time.
That's real. Don't do that shit. All right, man. Well, look, check it out. Let's go ahead and jump into Wembley Stadium this weekend. One of the most amazing stadiums, one of the most amazing atmospheres in all of combat sports. They know how to do it in UK. The fans there just chef's kiss to y'all because you guys are just amazing.
I got a problem, Wembley.
What's up with Wembley, man? You don't like Wembley? I think it's dope. Wembley Stadium is, if not, it is such an atmosphere, man. It's so dope.
I think it sounds better than it is in execution. So when you say the number 94,000 people, that's not a number you get to hear often. It sounds really good, but why are they walking to the ring for 15 minutes? Like, what are we supposed to do?
Now, I will say, watching Tyson Fury listen to 3 songs and still have to bust a jog just to get there on time was wild. Yo, that was wild business. Just watching that happen.
Imagine waiting in the ring.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yo, you would literally have to sit there and ask your cornerman to go ahead and bring out pads. Yo, bring pads out so I can stay warming up while he takes his 20-minute walk to the ring. It was pretty ridiculous.
He can sit down for 10 minutes and then warm up again, and Tyson Fury still not be there.
Fam. And I heard people talking about how amazing the walkout was. And the walkout was cool. I'm not going to say it wasn't cool. But, okay, well, let me ask you this. Since you were saying that, that is too big, what stadium do you like? Did somebody just do something? I know the game is on live. What happened?
But nah, the game is not on live. The Titans just traded A.J. Brown. I really like A.J. Brown as a receiver. The Titans just traded him to the Eagles. That's a really, really big trade. Moving on.
All right. Y'all already know. You guys who watch I have no clue. I don't watch football. I have no clue.
Don't worry. I'm catching you up. A.J. Brown, in my opinion, a tier 1 receiver in the NFL, will be going to Philadelphia.
And you know what? When I used to watch football, he sounds like that's the type of guy I like. Those are my type of guys, but I don't watch football no more. So, getting back to the fisticuffs. Wait, so what's your beef with Wembley? What stadium do you like more than Wembley? Where would you have preferred it?
If I was a professional fighter and I had if
you were Eddie Hearn and you had the Geppetto strings and you were like, this is where the fight's going to be. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia or it's going to be here. What are you going to say?
Well, Eddie Hearn, you got to do what makes the most money. If I'm the fighter and I want the best environment, I like the O2 Arena. I love the O2 Arena. I love those lights around the ring. I just think it looks so cool. Like, and that's just what it is to me. It just looks cool. And the UK fans are great. So, the crowd is going to be raucous. Like, Wembley is almost like too spread out. You can't hear the people in the back. And the people in the back can't see the fight. So, like, and then you got ring walks that's taking 15 minutes. Like, Wembley is cool. The environment is great. The numbers sound great. But if I want, like, the real thing, I like the O2 Arena. But no, like, aside from the ring walks being forever, I don't really mind Wembley. I'm just like, being nitpicky.
It's all good. No, I hear what you're saying. And honestly, I think you're right. O2 and everything, I think of Creed when you talk about the lights and how dope that entrance is and how, like you were saying, it has that, like, there's a ring of lights around it and it's dark or it's sick. It is a sick atmosphere. They know how to do it out there in the UK. They really do. They put on a great show and the crowd is always live, man. But the fight starts and you and I discussed it a little bit last week, but I think honestly it was I thought it was going to be a better fight. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive, and Tyson Fury goes out there and in my opinion just blew Dylan Wyatt away. Yo, am I wrong in saying that? I thought it was just a one-sided ass whooping.
I don't know. You're not wrong in saying it. I don't know if I had better expectations for it being more competitive. If you watch Dillian Whyte fight, I'm actually a Dillian Whyte fan. He's a UK Jamaican. I enjoy watching him fight. He's had a grueling path to get to this championship level, and even in a 6-round KO, people want to put him down. But he's come a long way to make a lot of money in these title fights. And like one thing that I've learned from you is that these are the top 0.1% of fighters in the entire world. And so, yes, Dylan Whyte took a knockout against Tyson Fury, but I mean, so does everybody else.
Facts.
So,
everybody else gets touched too.
Now, as far as like what it spelled out for me is like how far above the rest of the pack Deontay Wilder is, because I didn't even see the same Tyson Fury that I saw against Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury looked like he showed up like this was a sparring match. He knew he could play with his food a little bit, hang out, keep his he can easily keep his distance with the jab, no problem. Right. Dillian Whyte is he's not this big boxer. He's more of a sloppy fighter. He lands his left hook every now and again, but he's not some like super well put together
tough.
boxer. So a guy like Tyson Fury, keep his distance with the jab, tie him up on the inside. And, you know, when he wants to, he's going to land that uppercut because it's going to be there for him. And that's exactly what he did. Took him out. Overall, a beautiful, beautiful performance, but it felt like a retirement fight. It felt like that felt like a victory lap. It didn't feel like.
Let me ask you this.
This is a setup for Usyk or Joshua. It felt like a victory lap, and just like, for whatever reason, the passion doesn't seem to be there. And so, is Fury done? That's a really good question. I would say no, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, there's so much to be desired. I think when I was speaking to you this weekend, you compared it to Khabib. But no, Khabib dominated his division. He cleaned out his division for the most part, and you're talking about him going up to another division. That's something that you could say, okay, you could do that, but you dominated your division. You proved that you are beyond elite level. You're an all-time great in the sport. You can walk away, and no one's going to question you. When you walk away with a fight being on the table, there is an undisputed fight on the table for the winner of Usyk versus Joshua 2, and you're just walking away. That is puzzling. It's hard to say that you're not ducking somebody. Maybe he just understands the motivation isn't there anymore. But like, we have not, for his entire career, and like, people talk about him as an all-time great, talent-wise. Absolutely, Tyson Fury is an all-time great. But when you look at his career, he's never given us any type of consistency at the highest level. He fought Klitschko in like what, 2015? Let me look. I'll pull it up right now. So he fought Klitschko in 2015, right? He fought Deontay Wilder for the first time after he was out due to drug abuse. He came back. Amazing story. But let's take a look at the resume. Fought Deontay Wilder in 2018, 2019, and again in fought him in 2018, 2020, and then 2021, and then fights once in 2022, and he's just done. Like, we haven't gotten consistency at the highest level from Tyson Fury, and that's a big concern for me. So like, it's hard to say that he's done.
This is my rebuttal for that, and I guess I don't have a concern with it, because I'm one of those people that when I look at fighters, when a fighter says that he's done, to me, I'm going to believe him until he comes back, right? Especially when I look at a fighter that is as accomplished as dude. And we do look at it and say, all right, at the top level, he hasn't been consistent and things like that. If somebody who hasn't been consistent, maybe even in his own heart, it's just like, I don't feel like going through it. I look at it in terms of Deontay Wilder. And I say, man, those 3 fights with Deontay Wilder probably took a lot out of him also. So it's just like, do I want to continue doing this and getting, hit and beat up, right? Like, that doesn't feel good. And then you also look at it in terms of a couple things. If his family, his wife, somebody he cares about says, I don't want you doing this anymore. Like, again, that's kind of why Khabib ended up leaving MMA. His mother said, I don't want you doing this anymore. So he decided to walk away. If he is as principled as Khabib, and I don't know if he is, whatever. But to me, I was always just like, at the end of the day, what I like to see him as a fan, 1000%, I want to see him continue competing. I want to see him fight Usyk. I want to see him fight Usyk, and I want to see him go down there and beat the shit out of Anthony Joshua. And then I could be happy if he chalked it up. Me personally, I would love those 2 more fights. But if he's done, he's done. And it's not up to me to sit there and, question his motivation, I guess. That's to me. So I don't have any red flags if he's done. If he was like, I don't know. I don't look at it in terms of having red flags in any way. It's just, man, being a professional athlete's hard. And, all the pressure and everything that it takes to be the heavyweight champion of the world, I'm sure he has enough money that he's just like, I don't got to keep doing this. But as a fan, fuck yes, I want to see him come back. You know what I'm saying? We'll get Brandon back in a moment. A little technical difficulties, but it's all good. But that's just how I feel about it. When I look at something like that, I say, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. But I'm shitty about it. I really wish that he did continue. But if he is done, fuck it, he's done. You see what I'm saying? Sorry, go ahead.
I see what you're saying, but he's walking away with 2 total title defenses.
But again, who am I to, So, I mean, so here's the thing. You're frozen again. We'll get him back over here. Now, here's the thing, and I'll let Brandon give him an opportunity to. There he goes. He's back. All right. So I hear what you're saying. He does only have 2 title defenses, but I mean, dude, Khabib didn't have a gang of them either. You know what I mean? I think he might have only had 2, to be honest with you, and it doesn't make him any less great. If I look at him, and again, I look at him historically, and again, we could even talk about this. Where do we rank Fury all time, right? So if I had to look at it right now, am I going to say he's the greatest heavyweight ever? No, because again, he doesn't have the resume. But I tell you one thing, I think he still might be in my top 5 because of the intangibles themselves. And he's the best of his era. I'm not going to knock down points because of, who is not around, who's not fighting him. And again, if that's what he wants to do, how am I going to punish him for it? Why would I punish him for it?
No, let's punish him, because there are tons of fighters over the course of history who have way more title defenses, who have done way more to even say that they're the best of their era. Like, you just threw that around. There's boxers that theoretically Fury could be, but until he beats Joshua, until he beats Usyk, then we can't say that he's definitively the best of this era.
That's true. But the people that he did beat are widely considered some of the best of their generations. So when I look at that and the way that he got it done, the trilogy with Deontay Wilder, I'm going to give him the respect that I believe he deserves. Now, it's cool. Like, I get it. Everybody like has their own thoughts on it and stuff, but that's just how I feel about it. It's just like, I get it. And I want him to, like, and I guess even if I look at it historically, and we're talking about where do I rank him all time, I believe that he is the best of this era. And when I look at, and I give the eyeball test, and at the end of the day, yes, I would love to see him fight Usyk. But I think and again, if I'm just, and it's hard to do this, right? It's hard to sit there and look at it, but if I'm looking at the intangibles and I'm going through the eyeball test, just kind of like we do with every fight, I think he blitzes all those guys. So we'll see what it is. We don't know if he's actually gone. He might change his mind tomorrow and say, I'm not done, I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, even still, and I'm going to assume, let's just assume he's done. But no, fuck it. Let's just have fun, right? Let's assume he's coming back. Let's assume he has another fight in him because he is young. And if he's willing to sit there and talk about fighting fucking Francis Ngannou, if he's willing to fight him, you can throw him a bag and he might be willing to fight Alexander Usyk. You know what I'm saying? So those are one of those things that you got to look at and you got to really think about when we're doing that. So he might come back. So let's say this. If he's coming back, right? Where do you rank him all time? Then, now, with that being said, where are you going to put him?
If he's coming back?
If he's coming back, where are you going to put him?
I don't change my view of where I put him. I think
so where do you still put him?
Outside the top 5 all time.
Okay, so who are your top 5? Just asking. I don't know. I want to know.
Top 5, you got to put Joe Louis up there, like probably Muhammad Ali up there. Lennox Lewis, I'd probably put him up there. Then you can argue about who's going to take that 5th spot. You got guys like George Foreman. You got guys like Larry Holmes that could take that 5th spot. But I do think
all right, so beat froze on me once again, so we'll get him back in a hot second. Me personally, and I know it's okay. There we go. We got him back because I'm glad you came back because I didn't want you to say your point. It sounded like I straight cut your mic and was like, fuck that.
I'm not sure what's going on with my. Hold on, I'm gonna take myself off Wi-Fi so I can go 5G and see how that works because it's killing me today.
All right, no worries. All right, so check it out. This is what I'm gonna say about that, right? And see the camera going out. I lost my train of thought. Talking about having them in top 5. It's hard for me to put certain boxers that, like, you know what I'm saying, in older era. It's so hard to rank mugs that I didn't like. Them black and white dudes are hard to rank, man. The dudes in black and white. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at it, and again, I talk about the eyeball test, right? And I'm like, if there's this mythical world land where you put them all in there and they would fight each other, right? just like the pound for pound. And when I look at it, I look at somebody like, I think Lennox Lewis is in my top 5, right? Lennox Lewis is there. I think he's incredible. Muhammad Ali is in my top 5, right? And here, you know what it is? Here it is. It's not even in terms of top 5. It's like, I guess I have tiers, right? That's what it is. I have tiers of like these guys. And I guess I can't even wait. Like, I got to put them in a couple of different groups, right? Let's say like 1A, 1B, 1C, right? Because they're all great. I don't want to shit on anybody. But my 1A, I put Ali, I put Lennox Lewis, I put my Evander Holyfields. Fuck it, shits and giggles. I'll throw Joe Louis in there. I ain't never seen his ass box, but that's the stories they tell me. They tell me he was good, so I'll throw his ass in there.
You have to.
But in terms of what I've seen in the eyeball test and what I deem is a good, and again, intangibles and everything, I have Fury in that same mix. Now, the group after that, that's the Mike Tysons. That's Larry Holmes is in my top mix too. He's in my top because Larry Holmes is, in my opinion, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So you have him up there at the top tier, and then we got like the Mike Tysons of the world, those guys, and then you have the third tier, Mike Tyson, fucking Rocky Marciano, like those guys, and then you have the third tier after that. I think my man's Tyson Fury is in the top caliber of that one. I think that's where his skill set lies.
I mean, if we're just looking at it based on who would win in the actual fight, Tyson Fury very well could be number 1. But I think doing that alone is disrespectful to what like those other fighters accomplished that Tyson Fury did not accomplish.
Okay. Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. But I think he has done enough and beaten at least the type of the trilogy. I think carries a lot of weight, especially now in looking at how he dusts somebody like a Dylan Wyatt. You can really tell, like, damn, man, Deontay Wilder is a different type of dude. And even for Tyson Fury to say that's the number 2 dude in this division, he is a terrible, terrible matchup for every other heavyweight right now. Even still, especially if he continues developing and working with Malik Scott. I think if he continues doing that, I really, really am looking forward to the return of Deontay Wilder. So I think that's going to be really dope.
Yeah. Now, listen, before we move on, I already told you what I would love to see. If Tyson Fury wants to retire, he needs to join Malik Scott and lead Deontay Wilder to an undisputed championship, and then we can make a movie about it.
I want that too. Sign me the fuck up. That's amazing. Yeah. That's what you want. We do that, yo. Like that would be the best thing ever. And honestly, though, as glowingly as Tyson, because obviously Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have had to have kissed and made up recently or some shit because they both talk glowingly about each other all of a sudden. You know, it's not like they ain't got no beef no more. He's like, that's the number 2 guy, and everybody. What was that?
I think they're just gonna forever hold a piece of each other. You spend that much time in the ring together, like. There's going to be as much as in Deontay Wilder, of course, he was salty when he first lost, but like it's so much time in the ring. I think I don't know if it was like B Hop or like Andre Ward. One of them said like, "You spend 2 fights in the ring with me. I know you better than your mama."
Yo,
like 24 rounds in the ring with somebody, and what they spent like 12 rounds the first fight, like 6-7 rounds the second fight, another 11 rounds for the third fight. Like that's a lot of time in the ring together. You can't not respect somebody after spending that much time together.
Oh man, you ain't never lie. That I mean, that they absolutely have that respect for each other. But all in all, I'll say this: if he is done, if Tyson Fury is done, thank you for what the trilogy and going out like you did. That is just, I mean, what a way to go out. Picture perfect uppercut. And here's the thing: I want to give Dylan Wyatt credit. He's a very, very solid fighter. Very solid fighter. Now, this is where I'm going to talk a little shit. Dylan Wyatt, you're going out there saying that, I want to run it back because Tyson Fury illegally pushed me after he punched me. Fam, you were out on your feet. He knocked you out cold and just helped you down. There was nothing he did. And here's the thing. If you thought there was something that you can do differently, you had 5.5 rounds to do it. and you did absolutely nothing.
But come out southpaw. But come out southpaw.
That is it. Bro, I don't know if you weren't prepared or what. You do not deserve a rematch. I'm sorry. You don't.
Yeah, I mean,
and I fuck with you. And I do fuck with you. You do not deserve a rematch. Get fucking, and that's a shitty excuse. He pushed me. Fuck, where are we? In grade school? Come on, son.
Nothing else to add. Nothing else to add. That was perfect.
Moving right along, we do have amazing boxing this weekend. This weekend is the return of Shakur Stevenson. He is going and defending, and actually is going to be a title for title match, a unification, as they say, against Oscar Valdez. This is a fight that Shakur Stevenson and his team been asking for a very, very long time. B, what are your thoughts?
You know, Shakur Stevenson will always hold somewhat of a special place in my heart. I've spoken to you about it before, that like I first became pretty infatuated with the sport of boxing in 2009. And so like from then on, I do pretty decent. My knowledge of like historical boxing, even like older heavyweights, as we just spoke about, isn't that great. Shakur Stevenson is the first boxer that I have seen. Shakur Stevenson is the first boxer that I have seen the whole thing. Yes. I saw the Rio Olympics. I have seen his entire career. I saw when he was with Andre Ward. I've seen when he's broken away from Andre Ward.
Hey, bro, I was at his Olympic trials fight when they did the Olympic trials in Chicago at the UIC Pavilion, and I saw him and Rashidi Davis, and I made
Rashidi Ellis.
Yes, and Spence wasn't there, I don't think. But I definitely saw Shakur and them on that out there, and it was and I really remember him. So yeah, like seeing the guy from the fucking amateurs to doing what he's doing now is pretty fucking special.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the question is my pick.
No, not even yet. Not even. Let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about the fight. This fight came to fucking fruition. We happy about it. So what are your thoughts, just in general?
So my thoughts are like, number one, Oscar Valdez is literally 30-0.
A monster.
He is 30-0, and the way, I think it's almost unfair the way that people are writing him off. He's an extremely talented fighter with a few different wrinkles to his game. I think we've seen him go through absolute wars. I think he had that fight years ago. That must have been against maybe Scott Quigg when he broke his jaw. But then he comes out against Miguel Berchelt, and he's a mover, and he's moving really well, picking his shots. So
with an amazing team, he's a part of Team Canelo.
He's part of an amazing team. And so with that being said, I think about I don't know, is Oscar Valdez going to get blown out like people think he is via decision? Like, I'm not sure, but I think about what Oscar Valdez will show up. I don't think it's going to be the Oscar Valdez that fought Conceição. I don't think that's going to be him. Now,
so you don't think it's going to be the brawler?
Well, that Conceição wasn't the brawler. Conceição was like a weird version of Oscar Valdez that had just pissed hot. I'm not necessarily sure. I do think it'll be more of a brawler there. I think we'll see, honestly, if he is going to have a chance. He's going to have, I would imagine, more of a Canelo-like style. He's going to have to put pressure, the type of pressure on Shakur that Shakur hasn't seen before, because I don't think he's going to be able to beat Shakur with hand speed. I don't think he's going to be able to beat Shakur with foot speed. And if he tries to box Shakur, you're going to play into Shakur's game. He's going to win an easy decision because his footwork is just too good. He gets out of range so fast, and we've seen that time and time again. And we've also seen it every single time he steps up a competition. So it's not like he's just doing this to some of the guys he's fighting on the way up. He's done this against Joet Gonzalez. He's done this against Jamal Herring. So I just wonder what Oscar Valdez is going to look like, what Oscar Valdez is going to come out to fight. And that's my thought of the fight, because we know what Shakur Stevenson is going to do. He's not going to come out like a brawler. He's going to come out, he's going to get in his bike, and he's going to try to box his way to a decision. That's what it is.
Okay, I'm so torn on. First of all, Oscar Valdez is one of my favorites. I think ever since we started doing the show, we were talking about Oscar Valdez and how dope he is. He is a monster. He can grind it out. We've seen him go out there and fight through broken jaws and win fights. The dude is a dog, and I love his team. We both think Team Canelo is might be the best team in boxing right now. They're so good, and to think, like you said, this is going to be a walkthrough for Shakur Stevenson, would be silly. But one thing I'm going to say is this: I want to get your thoughts on this. This is an opportunity for Shakur Stevenson. This can really be his coming out party. This reminds me of a fight as somebody, because Shakur Stevenson Devin Haney reminds me of Money Mayweather. Shakur Stevenson more reminds me of Pretty Boy Floyd, if anything. You know, he has that, especially now, especially the fight that we've seen after his come on. No, you can't give me that look.
I mean, Money Mayweather.
We're especially after his last fight with Jamal Herring. You cannot say that's not reminiscent. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but reminiscent in terms of somebody that's a devastating, a boxer puncher. He went from just being somebody that was extremely defensive to now being somebody that's really can go out there and hurt somebody like he did to somebody like Jamal Herring, who doesn't just get blasted out of the building. You know what I mean? So that's the similarities I'm saying. And then honestly, the way I'm talking about it is, I think it's going to be very similar to a a Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather and a Diego Corrales. He has an opportunity to make it that same type of fight, that same type of coming out party, where Diego Corrales was the power punching, veteran who people thought was like, yo, this dude could win this fight against the up and coming Pretty Boy Floyd, who's the up and coming Shakur Stevenson. It's a very reminiscent type of energy in this matchup. And to me, honestly, if Shakur Stevenson gets the win in devastating fashion, which I'm kind of leaning towards, it can springboard him in the same way that it springboarded Money Mayweather, that fight with Diego Corrales.
I think if he gets a devastating win that he can, the first thing I want to say, we've kind of disrespected Jamel Herring a bunch of times. His name is Jamel, not Jamal. I said that. You said that.
Jamel.
I said it too. I've been drinking a little bit. So Jamel Herring, my bad, Jamel. He's a Long Island native. Gang. But as far as Shakur Stevenson is concerned, you compare him to Pretty Boy Floyd, but I just don't know what has given you the confidence to say that name. Like, what has he shown in terms of power? That one TKO against Jamel Herring?
Yeah, I'm saying his last fight, he was reminiscent. I'm gonna reiterate what I said. I'm gonna reiterate what I said. I said he was reminiscent. I'm not saying he's exactly the same. I said it was reminiscent. He was hurting his opponent. He was beating him up. And again, yes, he has it. He's not knocking him out, putting him on his ass yet. But again, he was doing that. He was showing power. He was being a boxer puncher. He was reminiscent, not being exactly the same.
I just don't see the power. I don't see the power. I see domination. I see an accumulation of punishment. I see all those things, and I will concede that to you. I just don't see the proven power from him or Devin Haney.
I'm not saying that either of them are gonna. I'm not saying he's a huge power puncher. And please don't mistaken what I'm saying by saying this dude is somebody who's just gonna like knock motherfuckers out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he was reminiscent to him, and especially if he continues developing that, I think he will even more so look like that the way that he's fighting, because he was very more so defensive, and then all of a sudden his offense started coming out of nowhere. I haven't seen anybody that could deliver that type of explosive offense and defense at the same time since a Money May. You know what I'm saying? Or should I say it early? So again, I don't want to argue the point. I was just saying he was reminiscent.
So I'm going by this Shakur Stevenson by decision. Are you going early stoppage?
I'm not going early stoppage, but I'm going stoppage. Yes.
No, not early stoppage. Stoppage is what I meant.
Yeah. I'm going with a stoppage. Yes. I think that he is going to get, and again, I cannot express this more. I fucking love Oscar Valdez.
Even with him pissing hot.
Amazing. That was my thing. I did have an issue with that, but I
don't play that shit at all.
I don't play that shit, but I have been a fan. But here's the thing, bro. It's fucking pro sports. Niggas is gonna piss hot. And I'm realizing that more and more. And at the end of the day, I'm getting to the point that I'm realizing that I'm saying, look, everybody's doing something. It's just who the fuck is getting caught. And I'm not going to sit here and like, nah, I just got to say, c'est la vie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's whack. I don't think you motherfuckers should do it. But I was just thinking about but I hate that shit. That shit's whack. He shouldn't have done that shit. And here's the thing. Those guys, honestly, don't end up winning. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they end up getting caught up at the end and beat the fuck up, and all of a sudden that shit comes to an end. So, but I think Shakur is going to get him. I think Oscar's dope. I think Shakur's faster. I think not only is he faster, I think he's defensively, he's going to be there. I think it's going to look very reminiscent almost to Mayweather versus Arturo Gatti. Somebody who is there willing to get hit, and he is just going to treat Oscar Valdez like a punching bag. I can absolutely see that happening, and I can see a late stoppage because Oscar Valdez is a dog at heart. And if he starts getting frustrated and then he starts throwing some of his technique out the window to try to get one, especially, you know how those guys who are dogs are. If I'm taking too many lickings, I got to get my back. I got to get a little get back. If he starts to try to get a little get back and starts reaching a little bit with Shakur Stevenson, Shakur's going to put his ass on a highlight reel.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to watch. I'm picking Shakur by decision. It's really hard to say what that's going to look like. My biggest thing is like, what will Valdez show up with? Because he has a lot in his arsenal. Nothing. He's not as good at anything as Shakur is as good as what he does. So like, but
that's really
a good game plan. Like, and one thing we do know is Eddie Reynoso knows how to put together a game plan. So I think we're in for a treat on Saturday.
Oh, dude, regardless. You know how some fights you just know can't suck? That's one of those fights that I'm going to say I do not believe can suck. I don't think it can. You think it can suck?
I think it suck. I think Shakur Stevenson can make a lot of fights boring if he really wants to.
Okay, so let me ask you this about Shakur Stevenson, and I'm glad you brought him up. After beating Herring, and if he goes in here and dominates and gets a win against Oscar Valdez, where does that put him amongst the top young bucks of this era? Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, those guys. Where does that place him?
Number one, because to me, this fight is a very clear fight for a secure spot on the pound for pound list. And that's something that nobody else on that list really has. Some people may put Tank on the pound for pound list. People pretty much wash Teofimo off the pound for pound list after his last loss. So I would say it puts him even above maybe a Kambosos. Because Kambosos is a part of that young, talented pack. And he has one win against a Teofimo that didn't look that great. But Teofimo is the only win that he's had. He struggled against his other fights at like the quad, not even the top level. He struggled to get by in those wins. So I wouldn't necessarily have Kambosos with a secure pound for pound spot. I can tell you that the winner of this fight, hands down, has to be on everybody's pound for pound list. There's no way.
Facts. Absolutely. I think this absolutely puts Shakur right at the top of the list. And dude is a monster, man.
And
he's taking the most risks.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, if Valdez ties a win on Saturday as an underdog with that knockout of Miguel Berchelt, he has to be on your pound for pound list as well. Maybe like a 6, 7, 8 slot, you know, and that's why I think these guys are landing with a win. The 6, 7, 8 slot. I still wouldn't say that they're top 5, but
probably 8.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8 on the pound for pound list.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, it might be better than 8 because people still have Golovkin on their pound for pound list, and I don't think that's justified.
I don't think so either. I don't think that's justified at all, to be honest with you. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about something that is justified. And for those listening and watching live right now on YouTube, I don't know why both of our cameras are kind of acting funky right now. So as long as you can hear us, I apologize for that. Just continue bearing with us. And thank you so much for watching live on the show today. All right. Talk about a fight that is absolutely warranted, and honestly the best female boxing match of all time. The event at Madison Square Garden, selling out the big, not the theater, the garden itself. Katie Taylor, the champion, versus Amanda Serrano. B, this is a big fight, man. How big of a deal is this?
It's a huge deal. It is the biggest fight in women's boxing history. It is for all the marbles. So a lot of people just talk about, they just throw out the fact that it's the biggest fight in women's history. This is also an undisputed fight. And you have Jake Paul, who's a part of it, who's helped this fight grow to where it needs to be. That's why a lot of us know Amanda Serrano. Now, me and you, we've known and followed Amanda Serrano for a while, but to the general public, Amanda Serrano has come up fighting under Jake Paul, but in doing that, she's gained enough of a following to put herself in this stage. And then the hardcore boxing fans, we know Katie Taylor. I believe she was a gold medalist in the Olympics. Yep. She's dominated. And she's dominated in her professional career, and professionally as a boxer, she's way more accomplished than Amanda Serrano. So that sets us up for the biggest fight in women's boxing history, and I cannot wait for it. I think you have also something that's guaranteed to be a good fight. Both of them are come forward fighters. So you're going to get excitement, and Amanda Serrano brings that power. Katie Taylor brings that pedigree and IQ, and I think they both have IQ. But and I don't know if you want me to drop my picks just yet, but I think
go ahead.
We have.
Let them know.
All right. If this is where we're going, I'm going to tell you that as far as my pick is concerned, I'm going to pick Katie Taylor by decision. I think, and
you go against your hometown, hometown Puerto Rican. You going against Puerto Rico and New York.
And I know that hurts you dearly. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
I know. Me picking against a Puerto Rican hurts you in a way that you can't express in this podcast. But that is how I have to go for this fight. I think Katie Taylor has the more established resume. She's been fighting at the top level for a little bit longer than Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano has a lot of fights where she puts down girls that just aren't even there to win. And we've seen that as she's fought on the Jake Paul undercards, whereas Katie Taylor is fighting names like Natasha Jonas, Delphine Persoon, tougher fights. Natasha Jonas just won a world title like 3 divisions above where she fought Katie Taylor. She's a legitimate opponent on the women's side of things. And so I think what's going to separate these two on fight night, I think Amanda Serrano she brings a lot of power, but she tends to have a lot of fat on her punches. I think Katie Taylor is a lot more compact with her combinations on the inside, and I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. I think Amanda Serrano has power, but as I mentioned, a lot of these girls she's just walking through because she's supposed to be walking through. But when she fought Heather Hardy in 2019, someone who was a little bit older, way past her prime at that point, but someone who has been in there with elite competition, she beat her, but she took her to unanimous decision. And that makes me question, someone can have legitimate power, but that doesn't mean that power is going to last at the elite level. So I'm not sure this is the elite level. I'm not sure if Amanda Serrano is going to be able to carry that power at this level. And so what we have left after that are some of those wide winging shots. And I just think Katie Taylor is a little bit more battle tested and those more compact combinations on the inside. Now, the downside, as far as Katie Taylor is concerned, you go back and look at fights against pressure fighters like a Delphine Persoon, she will take punches. And so she's going to take some punishment, but what we've seen in the past is that she is able to take that punishment and still win tough, grinding decisions. Now, there are some people that will say she's gotten some gifts. She has been in some wars, but being in those wars builds you as a fighter. It builds you as a champion. And I'm going to pick Katie Taylor by a split decision win on this Saturday at Madison Square Garden.
Ooh, this man went against everybody, but went out there and said some. So here, okay, this is what I'll say about this fight. I think this fight is fantastic, and I'm really happy to see women's boxing get highlighted in the way that we've seen women's MMA get highlighted for a while now. I think this is fantastic. I think this is important for the sport itself. The fight itself, you do have somebody, and I'm glad you brought up the Persoon's fight. Katie Taylor is somebody who is good, but if she does get pressured, I mean, it seems like if she gets hit hard enough, she might be able to get to wilt a little bit. Sometimes she tries to get into the brawl a little bit too much, and she might end up getting caught by a big shot from Amanda Serrano. With that being said, I think this fight is going to be pretty clear cut. I think we're going to get, Amanda Serrano going out there pressing the action. When I think on the other side, we're going to go ahead and see Katie Taylor being a technical boxer. And with that being said, you know me, I'm always going to go with somebody who I love my power punches, but skills pay the bills. Katie Taylor going to get that ass. I've tried to replay it over and over in my head. I try to say different ways that I think is going to happen. I don't think Amanda Serrano is A. I don't think she's big enough. B. I don't think she fucking hits hard enough for this fucking weight class. I think she might even walk into one. I think Amanda Serrano might fuck around and get knocked out this fight because she's going to be fishing for the knockout. Katie Taylor late knockout. What up? What up?
That
one thing y'all have to know about me is that regardless how I feel, I'm always gonna keep it a bean. I'm always gonna let y'all know exactly how I fucking feel.
Have you seen them? I know I'm probably bigger on TikTok than you. Have you seen them TikTok videos with the Kodak Black song talking about never let them know your next move?
Yeah,
that was what just happened to me. Because I was absolutely positive that you were going to be picking Amanda Serrano. That nigga hit me, but it never let him know your next move. Threw me for a loop.
That's why I'm the host of the most. We got this shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, look, man. I love fucking Amanda Serrano. I think Amanda Serrano
both of us do, and I'm excited to see what sneakers she's going to wear.
Me too. And I think she's going to put on a great performance. Katie Taylor, yo, there's levels to this game. And we talking about skills. We're talking about the eye test. When I see her move and I see her throw punches, I'm like, yo, she's different. She's fucking different, man.
She has hit though, and she against people like Delphine Persoon who aren't necessarily like the cleanest boxers. Even against them, she takes punishment, and that's where I think Amanda Serrano is going to excel.
And I think I will be pleasantly surprised.
Our hearts are with Amanda Serrano, but our minds are with Katie Taylor.
Because it's the similar thing, and I'll tell you guys, like I'm still breaking it down in my head, but I'm thinking about we're talking about MMA, right? The fucking Justin Gaethje fight against Charles Oliveira. Justin Gaethje because they're about to fight next week. Okay. And you look at that fight, and I'm like, man, Justin Gaethje has this fucking hammer. But Charles Oliveira got more skills. So am I going with the hammer or I'm going with the skills? Katie Taylor got the skills. And it's always hard for me to pick. And I'm not saying that Amanda Serrano doesn't have skills, because she does. She absolutely does.
Let's add one more aspect to this fight. Katie Taylor has a win over Cindy Serrano. This may be just a little bit personal. Amanda and Cindy are super close.
Last time I saw this happen is Miguel Cotto's brother got his ass beat by Canelo Alvarez. And what happened when Canelo finally fought Miguel Cotto?
He didn't get his ass beat, but he didn't
get his ass beat, but he won. He lost. He took that L. I see the same thing happen. I'm just saying. I do. And I love Amanda Serrano. I really do. Now, let me ask you this real quick. Yeah, how funny was it? Did you see the fucking clip where our boy, my favorite promoter in the game, Eddie Hearn, went out there and schooled your boy Jake Paul just a swoosh, a little bit?
I've told you before, I think outside of Al Heyman, who I love what he does for our community, and I will never go against this Harvard educated promoter that is assuring that young Black men and minorities in general are securing financial futures for them and their family, because that's the benefit that we haven't gotten in this nation for a very, very long time. So I'm going to take Al Heyman off the table, because personally, I just can't speak out against him. But aside from that, Eddie Hearn has to be my favorite promoter. He is consistently keeping that same energy on camera. And it wasn't disrespectful at all. And that's the art of communication. It doesn't have to be disrespectful. And it wasn't. That was two grown men, even from the Jake Paul side. He wasn't being disrespectful either. Two grown men having a conversation. This is my opinion. This is yours. And Eddie Hearn kept that same energy. That's it.
And I even love the way that, because Jake Paul loves saying how Tyron Woodley is a fighter, right? And I love the way that Eddie Hearn even answered that. He's a fighter, but he's not a boxer. There's a difference in this. There's a difference between somebody who has done this every day for years. This is the only thing that they do. He knows how to throw a punch. He's not a boxer. There's a difference. And this is what I thought was so brilliant about what the fuck Eddie Hearn did. Eddie Hearn is gaming, straight gaming fucking Jake Paul. He is saying nice things to him, rubbing his back. Ew, we gonna make money together. You're so good at what you do. He's being a good promoter. I like him. You are a good fighter. And then you see, you know what? Yeah. You know what? No, he's baiting him. He's baiting him into a fight to make his guy look good. Did you hear the name he threw out there? You could fight this guy. He's 1-0. Have you seen the guy he suggested?
No, I have not. What's his name?
Shavon. Not Stevenson. I'll think about it in a second.
Oh, that'll be another time.
Yeah, we'll bring it up. But he's an absolute killer. He's an Olympic bronze medalist. He is a Pan Am Games gold medalist. He's a multiple-time UK champion, and he is like, fight him. He only has one pro fight, and Jake Paul was like, sure, I'll fight him. He's going to convince this man to sign a fucking contract.
So for those of you guys who haven't seen it, Jake Paul, Eddie Hearn having conversation, and Jake Paul was like, hey, listen, give me, and they were having conversation about, where Jake Paul is going with his career. Jake Paul was like, listen, give me any guy with under 10 fights. Eddie Hearn said, I will give you a guy with one fight. Fight that is your size, and he will take care of you. And the fact that Eddie Hearn said it, I don't even know who this guy is, but I'm inclined to believe it.
His name is, I want to say, Shavon Clark. I'm looking it up right now just to make sure it's him.
I've turned off my internet on all my devices, trying to make this
yes,
work
that's
today.
his name. Yep, Shavon Clark. Shavon Clark.
Where is he from? Who is he?
Cruiserweight British dude, British cruiserweight, Jamaican-born British guy. He is. Let me pull up some of his accolades. He's a silver
from the yard.
Yep. Hey, dude is an absolute killer. And I am telling you right now, if they let that man, and that's why I'm laughing at it. I'm watching it. And I'm like, yo, this man is about to convince. He's going to convince Jake Paul to take a real fucking fight. He is going to hype his ass up enough to take a real fight. And what it's going to do is it's going to elevate the profile of his guy. This is why he's the best promoter in the game. Look at him. He's setting up. This dude is playing. Dude, he is playing fucking chess. Jake Paul is playing checkers.
You got to understand, Eddie Hearn is not like a regular promoter. Like this is what he was born into. This is what he was raised into. Barry Hearn, his father, is a well-established promoter in the UK. Eddie Hearn is just a chip off the old block, but this is what he was born into. This is what he was made to do. Now, speaking of unknown boxers, amateur boxers, one big guy that a lot of people have talking about, I've seen some clips of him. He looks very, very impressive. Is Andy Cruz. Have you taken a look at him at all?
I have not.
Out of Cuba, because Andy Cruz wasn't considered for a long time. Yeah.
And now he's a pro. I forget. Yes, I have actually. Now that you say that, because I saw him when he competed in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's very fucking good. And now you're right. Now that Cuba is out there, he can fight pro. And because how old he is, we might see him make a run similar to like a Lomachenko.
Yeah,
he's old enough. You just throw him right to the Sharks. I mean, I'm not sure. And let's find out.
I'm gonna get my internet back so I can look up some stuff. Hopefully, it don't kill us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, no, I got it. I'll tell you right now. Bro, this man is only 26 years old. Yo, good luck. Good luck. Yeah, say it again. Say it for the ones in the back.
Does he have any Olympic gold medals? He is the reigning Olympic champion, competing in the 2020 Summer Olympic Games. So he has a gold medal in the Olympics. 3 world championships, 2 Pan American game wins. He's literally never had anything aside from a gold medal. His amateur record is 141-8. He's 26 years old out of Cuba, man.
Oh, I cannot wait to see him compete. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be great. I can't wait. But you know what I also can't wait for, man? This weekend is going to be great. So many amazing fights.
This week is going to be great. Next week it might be better.
Might be fucking better. We got great fights next week, and we got an amazing UFC pay-per-view next weekend as well.
Cool. What's going on there?
You said
Oliveira and Gaethje.
Oliveira Gaethje. Rose Namajunas is on that card, defending her title against Carla Esparza. I mean, dude, the card is fucking ridiculous. This is the Fight Podcast. I'll run down the fuck. Oh, that's Michael Chandler. Tony Ferguson is on that card as well. Shogun Rua versus Ovince St. Preux is on that fight card. Donna Cerrone versus Jola Ozon is on that card. Dog, that's only the fucking main card. Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams. Somebody's going to fucking sleep. Macy Chiasson versus Nomar Dumont. Come on. This fight card is fucking nasty.
Yeah, I'll have to make some time for it. I'll be in New York next weekend. It's going to be a hectic weekend for your boy, but I'm gonna figure it out. I got a line at like 40-40 Club might be the wave for the fights. I got a line. It might be the wave for a fight, and I can't imagine watching the Canelo fight at the 40-40 Club. I don't know if you've ever been to the 40-40 Club in New York, it's a dope place to watch sports in general. I'm gonna make a few calls and see if we can set that up for next week, because that would be an ill ass environment for the Canelo fight and the UFC fight same time.
Oh, come on, son. Come on now. This is how we do it at this level.
I
love it. Well, look, you know what? Well, here I can make a little announcement. I can tell the people.
We got announcements.
We got a little announcement. So I can say it before we get up out of here. Before we get up out of here, I could say it now, because by the time y'all see this, or actually it's being shown live, but fuck it, y'all be able to see it. We got a new show. We got a new show coming out, and it is a fight pick show called Who You Got. And Who You Got is myself. I am the host of Who You Got, with none other than the legendary Kat Zingano. Myself and Kat Zingano here have a show called Who You Got. It is a fight pick show. We're going to do interviews. We're going to have breakdown fights and so much more. It is going to be the best fucking fight pick show in all of MMA.
I think I watched the last fight.
Oh yeah, dude. We're talking about Kat Zingano, the woman who knocked out Amanda Nunes. We're talking about that Amanda.
She knocked out Amanda Nunes.
Yo, go look that fight up. She split her face open with elbows.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my new partner. It's my new co-host. Yeah, man. So, guys, we have that, man. That's coming up. Also, make sure you check out the Royal Rundown. You can see the Royal Rundown every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, or right after NXT. This weekend, I have the man, the myth, the legend, WWE's own Evan Mack. Evan Mack will also be on the show joining us, and that will be awesome. Well, he's from the Mac Mania podcast, not the WWE. He used to do stuff with them, but he is coming on the show.
A question, Serge. When is Amanda Nunes getting this rematch?
They're about to film The Ultimate Fighter together, so at some point in time after that, so probably end of the year.
Okay. I mean,
probably December.
Early pick. I know we got to go. Who's your pick?
Amanda gonna knock her face off.
Really?
Yeah. She wasn't focused. I don't have that much faith in Julian Pena. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay. Another day.
Now,
I just want to get that.
Day. Yeah, I think Amanda got her, but we have time. I'll tell you what I think. I'll think about it much more. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys. One love. Thank you all for listening. Guru, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. We will see you all next time right here on the greatest combat sports culture show on the entire Universe to Fight podcast. Love y'all. Deuces.